Hello, today we've got 15 races using BetMover, and I've recorded these really just for practice. Get back in the swing of it after some time off, and to test some new ideas I've got for trigger points to place the bets. So it's not the most prolific money wise. I make 15% return on investment over the 15 races. So not the best you'll ever see from me, but really it's just a case of getting back and used to using the platform and really just getting back in the swing of things. I did actually promise to record my progress, record each race, and also show how BetMover performs as it's developed over time. So this is part of that progression. Now, you've just watched the race go by. That was the first race of the 15. I've edited these and I put the audio on afterwards. So let's see how that goes. I've also got the dogs with me. So if you hear any barking or licking of the microphone, it's not me. It's them. So that was the first race. Gone. We're now into the second race. And these are short races, 6 furlongs. Anything 5, 6, 7 furlongs. Quick, over in the blink of an eye. Before you know it, you're getting down to the 3 furlong point, and you've really got to be quick. I do actually manage to place one of these shorter races as a bet. Did get matched on one, but not this one. So the first 2 races, I was at the reaction times of a slug, and really just recovering after being in hospital. Poor me. And I will get faster. Obviously, it's just a case of getting used to things again. This race, I do actually manage to place a bet. So let's watch this one and assess it, see how we get on. What I look for is really this bottom section. I'm looking at the furlongs, and as I'm developing these new triggers, really what I'm looking for is the low-hanging fruit. So I want to be able to see at a specific distance in the race, where there's so much time left, which horse is ahead. There you can see that this one is number 2, and at that point I want to be able to feel confident to back the horse or lay, or do a trade or whatever, in the race, and know what I'm doing at specific points. So that may sound obvious, but if I can simplify it down, I can teach people how to follow what I'm doing in a more systematic way. So now we're getting to the business end of this race. You can see that number 4 is obviously the favourite, and it's travelling well. Hovering over the back button for number 4. You can see there I've got involved with number 4 because the horse looks like it's travelling the best. It was ahead enough on lengths, and I felt confident at that time. Now you can see number 3 is making a good show, but number 4 really, it was, to be fair, although it looked close, I think it looked closer than it actually was. I don't watch the racing when I'm doing this. I just focus on BetMover. So I'm just looking at the stats, and at that point, the lengths back, the distance to the finish, and the speed of the horse, number 4 was carrying the momentum for me. Now on to the next race, which is another longer race. Just wait for this to start. Just getting back to the previous race, what I didn't cover is the par line, and I'm looking at the par line on how the horse is travelling, and it's got to be ahead of, right on the red, or ahead of the red compared to the others, combined with the speed, the lengths back, and how much distance there is to the finish. That will really make the decision for me. So you can see where I hover over the par line, which is the red, greeny to blue, blue being cold, obviously red to hot, and how that horse is travelling at that particular moment. You can see that the leading horse, which is number 1 at this point, that just remains static, so it's showing how the other horses are performing against the leading horse using that par line. It's so useful. Obviously not useful in that instance because I didn't place a bet again, as trying, like I said at the start of the video, to spot individual triggers to go for the easy options. Now on to the next race, which is another decent length at the 4:15 Lingfield, and from here on in, really I'm looking to get on the leading horse that's going to win at the easiest point. So I'm looking for smaller margins over the races, but I'm looking for the just the free money basically. You can see I'm just hovering over the JL icon there, and that's Jamie Lynch. He's now adding advice. His daily advice is included within the platform. So if you are interested in following a pundit's advice, like Jamie Lynch, and you think that's useful, that's there for you, as well as the FF, which is fast finishes. I've got to be honest, the thing I'm most interested in is the actual in-running data, because I think everything that comes before that is speculative, but a lot of people like that and a lot of people use it. So looking at this race now, we're getting close to the end of the race. We're just coming up to the 4 furlong point, and you can see number 6 seems to be well ahead, but it's not really fancied in the market. And number 2 is the horse, and number 4, Forest of Dean, which are the horses that I've most fancied to come through and win this. And looking at the par line, you can see there number 4 was ahead of the par line, and now you see number 2 is also travelling very well, and it looks like it should be one of these guys, but you got number 5, which is also coming into the equation. So for me, looking at this point of the 1 furlong point, I can see number 2, Bangkok, doing the business. So I just get matched there, because it looked like it had the speed, the momentum, and it's so close you can't even see on the ground. In fact, it looks like on the GPS like it's number 4 that is actually ahead of number 2, Bangkok. So I actually head over to the quick results and just confirm that and make sure that it is Bangkok that won, even though the odds are saying that it has won. You just want to make sure with these technicalities, don't you, to confirm things. And you can see there that it did actually win the race. Bangkok, it was the winner. So a thing to note there is the GPS data at the top is useful. It's very useful, but I think at the moment it's a little bit glitchy. It's something that I know for a fact Nigel is working on and he's looking to do something with. But that leads me to my next point. So it's you can see there that the horses just flew out and then flew back in because of GPS data. Now the GPS information here, I don't know how many times I'm going to say GPS, but one more, GPS. Anything can affect this. You know, if the jockey whips the horse on the tracker, that can throw it off. When we're dealing with complicated things here, and it is literally, I think we're just coming out of the first month since the release of this software, so there's definitely creases to iron out, and that is the immediate goal. I know from Nigel talking to him directly that the GPS data is something that he wants to get absolutely spot on. So I know, given that he's created this entire platform himself from scratch, and you can see the quality of it, you know, got absolutely no doubt that he'll achieve that and get it all, you know, running smoothly. So on to this next race, I'm now getting to the business end, and you can see that number 6 is the obvious favourite here, and it looks like it's just going on, so I get involved there and make £1.50. At that point, really, with, you know, very little distance to cover, the other horses being so many lengths back, the horse looked comfortable for me. And just getting back to what I was saying previously, the GPS data at the top, I look at it, and also I've now started looking at the graph, so you can see whether they're running hot or cold, you know, for historical tempo expected with that race. And really, for me, the information I use, as I've stated before, is the distance, lengths back, speed, and the par line. And that's primarily what I'm looking at. I give the GPS data, cautionary glance every now and again, but it's not anything that I would use at this moment in time to make my decisions. Maybe at some point in the future when Nigel's fine-tuned it and it will add some extra value, but for me it's a visual. It's something that you can maybe look at and get an idea of the positioning of the horses, but I know the data is accurate. Here we are at the business end. So now looking at this, you can see that I've missed that opportunity. I'm really not the best with these short races, but yeah, getting back to what I was saying, it's really the information at the bottom that is accurate. I mean, this is a good example. So what happened here on the 4th of April is the GPS data at the top went doolally, and it did throw me a bit at first because I thought, hang on, does that mean the rest of it's gone crazy? But the information at the bottom was absolutely fine, but at the top you can see the GPS data was yo-yoing all over the place. Again, just a development glitch, something to do with Plumpton, because Southwell was absolutely fine, but for Plumpton the GPS tracking was literally all over the shit-in shop, so to speak. But Southwell was fine, and once I actually established that it was just the GPS tracking and the actual par line information, the data at the bottom was running fine, I was able to ignore it and just crack on. This first race, I said, it did throw me a little bit because it was the first race that I looked at Plumpton, but yeah, I mean, look at that. This is definitely something that Nige does need to fix ASAP, because if you just joined and this was your first impression, you wouldn't be too happy. You'd be thinking, oh, this is broken, but it's not broken. The actual crucial information you need to make the decisions is all 100% there, but there's definitely some fine-tuning to go on. So you'll see a bit of that in this video, the GPS going a bit crazy, but again, as you'll see Southwell is absolutely fine. At this point, I refreshed the browser just to double check that it wasn't anything to do with my PC, and it wasn't. It was actually, I got in touch with Nigel, who was away, and he confirmed that it was something to do with the GPS at that track. So I understand that not everybody has got the direct access to Nigel to confirm that, so just to make you aware that if things do go a little bit off the mark like the GPS did in that race, don't panic. It's just, I mean, if these things, as I said, we're coming out of month 1, and these things will be sorted out. So anyway, I'm boring myself now talking about this. Looking at this race now, you got the final few furlongs, and I'm looking to get on the obvious selection here and just really practice this technique of looking for the easy option. See, that horse has gone into the lead, but the favourite, Robbie Roger, number 6, was the horse that was fancied from the off, but it's not looking like it's going to win. And at that point, I just hit the go button and I make 30p. Good practice though. Again, I'm looking at this from a perspective of I'll be staking 100 quid, and then I'll be smashing that back button more, or doing different techniques around it. But yeah, I did warn you, the margins were lower on this run of races. I do get better as I progress, that's the good news. I do start making a bit more money as you see I'm making progress using this approach and these triggers, but yeah, there are some small margins, and that's the smallest. It doesn't get any worse than 30p. Now it's all uphill. Now again, we're back at Plumpton, and you can see we got the yo-yo in GPS. There's no need to cover that, and I'm just focusing on the par line at the bottom and that section with the just under 3 furlongs to the finish, and we're coming up to the last 2 hurdles. So I want to assess how the horse goes over the last couple of hurdles, because it looks like it's between these two at this moment in time. So as we come up, we can see that number 4 is travelling the best, so I just got on that and make 70p, which is better than 30p. But yeah, I could have backed it a few times, to be fair. It was easily looking like the winner again. Like I said, he is probably going to be best if you set out a specific amount and then smash the back button or lay or whatever you're doing with that stake amount a few times rather than using a large amount, because you know the way the exchange works. Right, on to the next race, which the GPS is normal for in this because it's Southwell. And I think from memory that I do get involved in every race now, and this is my first short race that I actually managed to place a bet. So let's just go over this one. As you can see, the furlongs fly by, don't they? See the line to finish. You really haven't got much time. If I click the B1 button there, it puts them in the order. And at this moment in time, you got these two at the head of the market that are looking likely. And what I'm looking for now is to get involved on the horse that looks most likely, which is number 8. So yeah, I was too late. I didn't get involved in that one. I take it back. This is the hazard of doing the narration after the event. My apologies. Right, back to Wacky Races with the GPS, and according to that, all the horses are dancing like they're at a rave. And yeah, it's another hurdle race. You can see the hurdles in the timeline, and they're off. So again, looking for the obvious selection, ignoring the GPS, and trying to get involved near the business end of the race. When things are starting to unfold, and you can see with a lot more clarity where the momentum is in the race. So you probably noticed I've done some chopping with these races to chop out the middle sections and just go from the start to the business end. So let's go straight to it, and you can see now that number 6 is the standout in this race at this moment in time. But as we know, with 2 hurdles to go, that could all change. So I'm hovering over these 2, which are looking at the head of the market. And at this point, I quite fancy number 6. So I've pressed it, and I'm just waiting for it to be matched there. And I make another handsome sum of 70p. Which was easy, wasn't it? It was easy money. It wasn't hard. It was obvious at that point with the momentum. Looking at all the triggers that I've already covered, with the distance, the par line, the length back of the other horses, the speed of the horse. If you just focus on that and you're not focusing on the telly, looking at the live racing, which is already behind, that's quite disorientating. You can just make a quick decision. Now at this moment in time, as we go into the next race, I'll just say I've got 100% strike rate with these bets. Just by going for the easy options, yeah, that's it. That's all I'm interested in, really, making money and having a license to print money using this software. So again, another quick race. I think this is the short one. Must be, mustn't it? The one that I get involved with over the day on the 4th of April. So we're already coming up to the business end of the race, and I think this is one of the few races that I actually let run in its entirety because it's only quick. And at this point, you can see number 5 is running well ahead of the par line, and it really is coming on and doing very well. So I'm hovering over that, waiting for my opportunity, and yeah, thinking that should be the horse to beat. So there it is, and I make a quid. With just a furlong and a half, just over a furlong and a half to go, number 5 just ran away with it, and I could have made more money on each of these bets. That's a definite. I could have really doubled, trebled what I made on these bets. I've had faster reactions at the moment, and I was more confident with mistaking. But I'm really just looking to practice getting involved with the triggers that I've set out from the offset, and I'm just sticking to that without any deviation. If the opportunity looks right, I get on. If it doesn't, and I'm not sure, I won't, because there's always another opportunity. There's always more racing, isn't there? I wanted to go through the rest of the day or the evening. There's always American racing. So anyway, try not to look at the GPS at the top, because it might make you feel sick. It was starting to make me feel a bit queasy when I was looking at it. I was just had to train my eyes to look away. But it's a long race, this 3 mile, 1.5 furlongs. So it's it's a slugfest where they're gonna really, it's more, it's an endurance, which horse has got the stamina to get over the line first. At this moment in time, you've got your two top of the market horses, which is number 5 and number 3, which were most fancy from the off. But to be fair, the other horses in the market aren't at ridiculous odds, and it's one of those situations where anything could happen, really. Now, I know I get involved in this race, and again, it's just the easy option. It's the bet that always looked a certainty at the point when I've jumped on and decided to back in. And so as we look at this now, you can see number 3 is ahead of the par line there, and it's travelling well. The odds reflect that, and it's definitely one I've got my eye on. But number 1 is doing well, but really it's looking like it would be the top 2 in the market at this point in time. So just skipping ahead to the business end, we see now we're closer to the finish. We've got 6 hurdles to go before they cross the line, and we're really assessing how well they're jumping. Again, as I explained, just to reiterate, the leader stays static, and you can see there number 5 is running ahead of the leader when it comes to performance at this moment in time, and it's gaining ground. Number 3 is still in the mix, but looking at this, let's assess it as we go over the hurdles. Number 5 is the one that's showing and grabbing my attention. So as we go over these hurdles now, let's see how the par line reflects the performance of the other horses. And number 3, did well. It's coming on. You see there, it's moved right up. I definitely want to keep track of. And number 3 now, it's looking like it's carrying the momentum, but number 5 is still holding on and doing well. And really, with just 4 hurdles, 4 hurdles to the finish, it's looking likely it's going to be one of these two. So it's a case of just getting on the right one at the right time. It's strange using this par line, but it becomes very intuitive. There you go. So for me, at this point in time, I'd say number 5 looks the strongest, and providing it gets over this last hurdle, second penultimate hurdle, in the lead, you'd say that was going to be the one. Now the other horse at the bottom of the market is coming on, but then you see straight away that the performance at that hurdle put number 3 as the favourite. So I click that and I make £2.20. Not bad, 22% ROI on that bet. The reason I selected it is because at that point in time, over the last hurdle, there was a few horses in the mix. That was the favourite in the race, but you could see that it was running ahead of the par line, jumping well, and it had enough speed and miles per hour behind it. You can see there that it finished 28.7 miles an hour, and that was visible from the statistics, and that's what helped me make my decision. This was the last race of the day for me, because the dogs were bending and they needed to go out for the walk. So that was me done. There was enough racing. I think 9 races is fine, and I know from the progress I'm making that if I'm doing that amount of races each day, when I become more confident, my staking is ramped up, and the way that I'm using this trigger strategy or others that I integrate, that'll be enough to give me the £50 to £100 a day. That is my target amount. So I'm some way off that at the moment, but as I said, I've been off for near enough. How long have I not bet for? Was it 2 to 3 weeks now? Something like that. I know it's at least 2 weeks, and yeah, I'm just getting myself back in shape, getting match fit. So, without chunning on, we're in the final race. It's Southwell, and it is a 2.5 miler. And at this point, let's just look at the assessments here. We've got number 1 that is running very well. See that's running in the red, and it's obviously the strong favourite in the race anyway. And the others at the bottom of the market, everyone's keeping up with pace at this moment in time, but we've got quite a bit to go in the race. Looking at the graph at the top, you can see that they're running about average. Well, they've just dipped down into the coal territory as soon as I say that, which is the blue line. But yeah, so yeah, it's again, that's something that I look at as for some sort of frame of reference, but it's not anything that I use to make my decisions. That's really, again, without going on about it too much, it's mainly the par line, the distance to finish, the lengths back, the speed of the horse. All of that helps me decide, and that is what I'm going to base my triggers on, with this back in the favourite approach. And then I'll broaden that, and I'll be looking for higher odds favourites at bigger numbers to try and widen the range of triggers that make me want to make that decision and get on the winning horse, or what I think will be the winning horse at that moment in time. And if I'm backing at higher odds, I don't need as many winners, do I? The strike rate will drop, I'll lose more bets, but I'll make more money. That's the goal, which will then give you some good examples and more options of how you want to go about using the software, whether you want to be going for the obvious favourite, or you want to be looking for the higher odds and following the triggers that are set out there. Anyway, we're getting to the last 3 furlongs, and it's looking like the top 2 in the market. It looks like this one, Russian Rumour, is doing well, and just as we assess that, yeah, it looks like Russian Rumour's ran away with it, so just click on that. There's only a couple of furlongs to finish, so I'm making the decision always within the last 3 furlongs. There's never anything outside the last 3 furlongs, you'll notice, with all of these bets. I think the latest I made a decision was 1 furlong to the finish, but yeah, it's typically the last 3 furlongs. Okay, that's me done for now. I will be on again later on this week. Whether I record the audio at the same time, who knows, but I'll post more videos on YouTube and in the toolbox. Thanks for watching.